The journey of a child's education kicks off right at home. This is their first classroom. Here, guided by their parents as teachers, they're going to pick up vital life skills like respect, obedience, reverence, and self-control. The influence of home education is powerful, for better or worse. It works subtly and slowly, but if it's positive, it can be a major force for truth and goodness. If a child misses out on these early lessons, negative influences will fill that gap. So, the home as a school is super important. Every parent has a duty to provide physical, mental, and spiritual learning. Parents should aim to develop a balanced, well-rounded personality in their child. This task is big and critical, demanding careful thought, prayer, and steady, persistent effort. It's all about setting a solid foundation, creating a sturdy structure, and then, day by day, working on building, refining, and perfecting it. Parents, see your home as a crucial training ground, shaping your kids for a heavenly home. Compromise on anything but not on their early education. Avoid any hint of impatience. Instill in them kindness, patience, and a consideration for others. This way, you're prepping them for a more profound role in spiritual life. The home should act as a launch pad, readying kids and teens to serve, leading to an ultimate union with the divine school in God's kingdom. Never treat homeschooling as a secondary thing. It's at the forefront of all authentic education. Parents are tasked with sculpting their children's minds. Consider the profound truth in the saying, "As the twig is bent, the tree is inclined." This directly applies to raising your kids. Parents, do you realize the responsibility you have in shaping your children from a tender age? These young minds should be carefully nurtured, ready to be transplanted into the Lord's garden. Ignoring home education is overlooking a spiritual obligation. Educating at home has extensive implications. It's a broad endeavor. Think of Abraham, famed as the father of the faithful. His standout godliness partly came from his adherence to divine commands at home. He fostered a religious atmosphere in his household. God, who observes the teachings in every home and understands their impact, acknowledged, "I know him, that he will instruct his children and his household in my ways, ensuring they follow the path of the Lord, practicing justice and judgment." God instructed the Hebrews to teach their children his laws, making them aware of his interactions with their ancestors. The home was the school. Instead of strangers, parents were to imbue their children with divine knowledge. Daily life in the home was intertwined with thoughts of God. God's mighty acts in freeing his people were spoken of with reverence and awe. Important truths about God's governance and the afterlife were etched into young minds. They grew familiar with what is true, good, and beautiful. The teachings were made memorable through symbols and figures. This vibrant teaching method introduced children, practically from infancy, to their ancestors' wisdom and hopes. It shaped their thinking, reaching beyond the physical to the spiritual and eternal. Parents' efforts precede and set the stage for formal schooling. They run the first grade at home. By being thoughtful and prayerful in their role, they ready their kids for the next educational phase. The home can be a nurturing place where children's characters are crafted with the grandeur of a palace. Jesus received his foundational education at home. His mother was his earliest teacher. From her and the prophets' writings, he learned about divine things. Living in a modest home, he shared in domestic duties. He, the leader of heaven, became a humble, obedient son and learned carpentry alongside Joseph. The initial responsibility of teaching falls on parents. Parents must grasp this responsibility. The world is full of temptations luring the young. Without discernment, paths that seem joyful lead to hidden perils. Indulging in selfish pleasures can sap energy and lead to ruin. Parents need to prepare their children for these challenges, even from before birth. Parents require more than just human wisdom to effectively guide their children towards a meaningful, joyous life, now and in the hereafter. Child training is a key element in showcasing the power of Christianity. Parents bear a solemn duty to train their children to be a positive influence in the world. Parents must take this role seriously, investing time to understand the principles that govern our well-being. They should prioritize learning the best ways to nurture their children towards physical and mental health. Some professing Christians overlook their home responsibilities, not realizing the sacred importance of shaping their children's character to withstand youth's temptations. Jesus asked his Father not to remove his followers from the world, but to protect them from its evils. Parents should echo this prayer for their children. They need to work with God, actively engaging in their children's upbringing to keep them on the right path. If parents persistently educate and pray for their children, aligning their efforts with God, they can successfully lead them to the Savior. An angel guided Zacharias and Elizabeth in raising John to be in harmony with God's purpose. They didn't assume God would handle everything. Instead, they retreated to the countryside, away from city temptations, to shape John's character according to God's plan. Parents should view their children as a trust from God, training them in His fear and love, for wisdom begins with fearing the Lord. Loyal parents will represent God in their home life, treating child training as a sacred duty. Parental work, crucial yet often neglected, needs urgent attention. Parents, awaken and realize your child's first lessons are yours to teach. Introduce them to Christ before negative influences take hold. Guide them in habits of industry and discipline, as Christ desires. Sin will lie at the door of parents unless they actively become wise, safe, Christian teachers. Husband and wife must unite in their educational roles at home. They need to be cautious and kind in their communication, avoiding any opportunity for negative influences. Respect and courtesy towards each other are vital, creating a positive atmosphere for the children. Differences should be resolved away from the children, maintaining a dignified Christian environment. The mother in particular plays a pivotal role in educating the children, especially in their early years. Though the father has significant responsibilities, the constant presence of the mother makes her a primary instructor and companion. Parents must learn to obey God's guidance as found in His Word, and in turn, teach their children respect and obedience. This is more than mere instruction. It's an upward journey for both parents and children, aiming for the elevation of the latter. Haphazard efforts in home education won't stand the test of judgment. Parents must combine faith and action, setting a divine standard. They shall keep the way of the Lord. Parents should reflect on their role in educating and training their children. They should question if they have fulfilled their duty in nurturing their children for spiritual triumph. The word education encompasses more than formal schooling. It begins with the infant in the mother's arms. While shaping the character, the mother is also educating. Education is a comprehensive process starting from infancy to adulthood. As soon as a child can form an idea, their education should begin. The most effective time for education and training is during a child's early years, when the mind is most receptive. Parents should view their role as continuous teachers from infancy to maturity, gaining vital knowledge themselves, especially the mother as the principal teacher. Parents should voice positive words daily, learning from Christ, and in turn, share these lessons with their children, influencing them from an early age. The early training of children is a critical subject that demands careful consideration. Parents must exemplify purity to instill the same in their children. Your children are God's entrusted to you. Treat them with Christ-like care and consideration. Careful and judicious training is crucial in youth, as habits formed early often persist throughout life. The first child's training is especially crucial, as they set the precedent for the siblings. The child's environment significantly shapes their development. The development of a plant from a seed teaches valuable lessons in child training. The stages of growth, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear, reflect the stages of child development. The truths of this parable were exemplified in the life of Jesus. From infancy, He grew in grace and knowledge, respecting and aiding his parents, and maturing in understanding and spirituality.